I would like to address with you today the topic of long-run marketing productivity, which has been a topic of my research for quite a few years and which has also recently been quite a bit in the news, probably over the 4 or 5 past years or so, for a number of reasons. The first reason is that with the turn of the century and the failure of some of the dot-com firms and then the ensuing Enron scandal and a few other things, the entire concept of accountability in our firms has gained recognition both in the media, in government, and of course in the corporate boardroom. And part of that is marketing accountability. So the question of why do firms spend the money on marketing that they do? Is that justified? How can you look at this from a shareholder return perspective? And the like, those sorts of questions. Another reason for this recent interest in long-run marketing productivity is the advent of very high-quality databases that our companies now have access to. For example, customer databases, prospect databases, records that are collected by third parties, by industry observers, and so forth, so that we now have in our organizations a wealth of measurable information that can be put to good use in order to better understand the world of marketing. And so between these two external factors, the better information technology and data on the one hand, and the higher need for accountability on the other hand, there is currently a call for more and stronger insights on what exactly is effective long-term strategy that builds shareholder value. Now, this is, of course, a major topic, and in this brief summary, I will only highlight a few of the key aspects of this. And I would like to, in particular, address 3 issues around marketing productivity. The first one is to briefly summarize some evidence on how marketing spending impacts revenues and profits for firms in the short run as well as in the long run. The second point is I'd like to address some issues about how marketing can contribute to brand building, the development of strong brands that are in the interest of shareholders, of course. And then thirdly, I'd like to discuss how marketing can contribute to tightening the quality of the relationships that a firm has with its customers. That's sometimes known as customer equity. And again, what is marketing's contribution to that? So on to the first aspect here is what do we know about how marketing has an impact on revenue? Well, the evidence is quite overwhelming that it really does. Good marketing really does lift the top line and correspondingly the bottom line. There is an enormous amount of work that has been done in this area, both in marketing practice as well as in academia. And in fact, we have learned a great deal about the relative importance of these marketing drivers. For example, we know how changes, let's say, in sales call strategy would impact revenue performance relative to changes, let's say, in advertising strategy or in distribution strategy. We also know a fair bit about the impact of sales promotions, how they have a strong short-run impact but a much, much weaker long-run impact. And between all of these findings, strong empirical findings, we're starting to formulate a pretty comprehensive picture about how good marketing strategy is beneficial to revenue creation. And one of the strong findings coming out of that is that most marketing is of a temporary impact. In other words, it's important, it lifts performance, but that lift may not last very long, both because of competitive conditions and because of the fact that customers often tend to go back to where they were before, which isn't necessarily the brand that was just being promoted or so. So what is called for then is sort of policies of sustained marketing that are effective, of course, but that build the assets of long-run revenue kind of on the long haul rather than with short bursts of activity. So good marketing requires a persistent, systematic approach where each element of the marketing mix is carefully monitored for its effectiveness and its relationship to profitability in such a way that a total strategy emerges. There's much more to say about this, but that is kind of the short summary of it. To my second point about brand building, brand building relates strongly to revenue creation, as you can well imagine. In other words, there's no point in having a strong brand unless there is high revenue associated with that, because brand building can be quite expensive. Brand building is becoming more important in this information age of ours because consumers and customers in the B2B sector face more and more choices. And the more choices they have, the more customers need to be guided, if you wish, by things they can trust, names they can put their confidence in, and that's where brand building efforts come to fruition. One of the things we have learned in brand building is that it's not just about advertising, although advertising certainly contributes. It is a lot more about systematic experience building where, in other words, in the long run, the brand actually deserves the stature that it has or that it does not have. So, for example, if the common wisdom says that Volvo is a safe car, that was a reputation that was established a long time ago, a reputation that sticks, and a reputation that is largely based on fact, on the fact that these are very, very well-built cars that do well in various kinds of crash tests and the like. An asset like that, a strong brand, can have an enduring effect on customers for a long time. And so a strong brand asset is a major element of a company's marketing mix. And then thirdly is the notion of customer equity building. That's a little different from brand building because you can have a very, in fact, you can have a weak brand and still have very, very loyal customers. You know, imagine in a small town somewhere a local restaurant that only the locals have heard of. It is very good. It is very pleasant. It does not have a big brand name, but it keeps on enjoying a flow of repeat customers that make that particular restaurant very profitable. That would be an example of strong customer relationship building. What we have learned in the customer relationship area is that, again, a well-thought-of marketing strategy can push that to higher levels. And we've also learned that the impact of loyalty is very, very important for long-run profitability building. So, for example, if, let's say, two financial institutions have an equal number of customers, but institution A is able to hold on to their customers longer than institution B, then all else equal, A will do better in the long run because they spend more, they can save more money on marketing because they don't have to chase as many new customers because their existing customers stay with them longer because of higher service provision, higher product quality, and so forth. So between evidence of overall marketing effectiveness that can be demonstrated, usually using statistical techniques or experiments, that can be demonstrated to have an impact on short-term revenue, number one. Number two, between the evidence of how marketing builds strong brands, which has enduring influence and kind of weathers the economic upswings and downswings that we're all subject to, as number two. And number three, between building strong customer relationships as a way to avoid, if you wish, the commoditization of an industry. In other words, your customers are more loyal to you than your competitors' customers are loyal to them. Between these three major building blocks, we see now strong evidence of long-term impact of well-allocated marketing dollars. So these are the foundations, and of course these foundations are being studied in a number of applications. I invite you to go to my website to see a number of downloadable papers that have details on all three of those. You'll be able to judge them by the titles. And of course many of my colleagues here at UCLA and elsewhere at other business schools have made several contributions to that as well. The bottom line of all this is that marketing is entering a new era of more strategic relevance to our firms. And that is because our customers across the globe are facing more choices, supply chains are being more equalized, access to capital is more equalized, and therefore marketing ability to create a brand asset, hold on to your customers, make sure your marketing is effective, is becoming a key differentiator between two companies competing in the same industry. Thank you very much.